The galaxy was wide and full of stars, but peace was rare. Wars came often, and kingdoms rose and fell like waves in the ocean. For thousands of years, alien empires ruled, each holding their worlds with fleets and armies. They fought one another for power, for resources, and for pride. Yet now something darker had appeared, a force that made even the strongest empires tremble. The Veer dominion spread like fire. They came with ships black as night, and weapons that burned planets to ash. No treaty stopped them. No wall of fleets could hold them. Kingdom after kingdom fell. Worlds screamed for mercy, but none was given. The Dominion believed only in conquest, and their banner spread across the stars. On the edge of the galaxy, smaller kingdoms tried to resist. They gathered their warships, they sent brave captains, but all returned broken or did not return at all. Every defeat made the galaxy more afraid. The Dominion was not just an army, it was a storm. The halls of power echoed with fear. Alien rulers met in secret councils. They argued and shouted, some begging for surrender, some dreaming of rebellion. But deep inside they all knew the truth. They could not win. Their fleets were too weak, their weapons too small. Among the common people, fear was even worse. Refugees fled from world to world, carrying stories of burning cities and skies full of enemy fire. Mothers cried as they told how their homes were destroyed. Soldiers who had once been proud now hid their faces. They knew no hope was left. Whispers began to spread. At first they were quiet, just tales told in low voices. But soon the whispers grew louder. Some spoke of a race that once lived among the stars, a race that had vanished long ago. They spoke of the humans. The humans were said to be warriors like no other. They were said to build ships larger than mountains with weapons that could crack moons in half. Some claimed they fought wars not for survival, but for honor and pride. Others said they were monsters, cruel and merciless, but all agreed on one thing: humans were gone. They had left the galaxy, perhaps destroyed, perhaps hiding in the void. Still, the whispers gave a small spark of hope. The kingdoms asked themselves, what if the humans returned? Would they fight the Dominion? Would they save the galaxy? Or would they conquer it for themselves? No one knew. The kingdom of Artal was the first to speak the words aloud. Their council, broken and desperate, declared that only legends could now save them. They sent scouts to search the old star lanes. They opened the forbidden archives to look for any sign of Earth. The rulers of other kingdoms mocked them, calling it madness. But when their fleets burned under the Dominion's fire, they too began to wonder. The Dominion heard the rumors as well. Their leaders laughed. They told their armies that humans were only myths, dead ghosts told to scare children. And yet, even they felt a cold shadow in their hearts. For what if the stories were true? What if the humans had not died? What if they were waiting, in the far reaches of space, deep beyond the known maps? Signals began to move. Something stirred in the dark. The kingdoms did not know it yet, but a storm was answering their cries. The galaxy was afraid. Entire worlds held their breath, hoping, praying. Some prayed to their gods. Some prayed to the stars. Some whispered the name of humans as if it were a charm against the night. Still no answer came. The Dominion crushed another world, and another, until it seemed that all would be lost. And then, in the silence of defeat, a faint echo appeared on long-range sensors. A ripple, small at first but growing. It was not a Dominion fleet. It was not any Empire ship. It came from the deep void where no one dared travel. The signal was steady, powerful, unbroken. The kingdoms stared at their screens, trembling, afraid to believe. Could it be real? Could the myths be true? Somewhere far away, something massive was moving, and the galaxy, full of fear and broken hopes, waited. Because when the galaxy was most afraid, legends had a way of returning. The kingdom of Artal was dying. Its fleets had been shattered, its colonies burned, and its people scattered across the stars as refugees. The capital world's skies were filled with smoke, and the last defense platforms were breaking under the Dominion's relentless assault. Palaces that once shone with golden towers now trembled with fear. The Council of Artal gathered in silence, their faces pale. They had nothing left to fight with. The rulers of Artal sent one final message. It was not a cry of war, but a plea. The message traveled across the stars carrying their desperate words. They begged for help, for mercy, for salvation, knowing that no kingdom was strong enough to answer, yet they sent it anyway. A hopeless whisper into the dark, far across the galaxy. Other kingdoms listened. Some mocked the message, saying Artal was foolish to think salvation would come. Others wept, for they knew their own worlds would soon face the same fate. The Dominion could not be stopped. No one dared to believe otherwise. But then, strange things began to happen. The signal of Artal's plea traveled farther than anyone expected. It passed through old relay stations long abandoned. It echoed in regions of space marked as empty and forgotten. And in those shadows, something ancient seemed to stir. On the surface of Artal, soldiers stood on the walls of the capital city, watching the skies glow red with enemy fire. Their weapons were nearly out of energy, and their spirits nearly gone. Children cried in the underground shelters. Elders prayed in whispers. The people felt the weight of final defeat. Then the alarm sounded. At first, everyone thought it was the enemy, another wave of Dominion warships. But the pattern was different. The scanners showed something new, something massive, something the size of a moon, emerging from deep space. The skies cleared for a moment as the shadow fell. A ship, unlike anything the galaxy had seen for centuries, came into view. Its hull was black, not the polished crystal of the Dominion or the shining gold of the kingdoms, but dark, heavy, and alive with power. It was Earth's Dreadnought. The people of Artal gasped. Some cried out in terror, others in awe. The myths whispered in marketplaces and in refugee camps were suddenly real. The humans had returned. The Dominion fleet circling Artal paused. For the first time, the conquerors hesitated. Their commanders scanned the newcomer. The readings made no sense. The ship was too large, too well armed. Every scan reported impossible energy levels. The Dominion sneered, but a seed of fear touched their hearts. Inside the capital, the Council of Artal watched in stunned silence. They could not believe their eyes. Had their prayers been answered, or had a new danger come to claim them? The Dreadnought did not speak. No message was sent. It only hung there, silent like a mountain in the stars. The people whispered. Some said the humans had returned to save them. Others said the humans had come to conquer what was left. Still, hope began to burn where only despair had lived. For the first time in months, the people of Artal looked to the skies and saw more than fire. They saw a chance. The Dominion, unwilling to show weakness, made the first move. Their fleet of warships broke formation and surged toward the Dreadnought. Plasma cannons lit up the darkness. Missiles streaked across the void. The sky above Artal filled with deadly light, and yet the Dreadnought did not move. It stood still, silent and calm, as if the fury of the Dominion was nothing but rain on stone. The enemy fire struck, shields flared and then faded. But the Dreadnought remained, untouched. The kingdoms across the galaxy listened in, watching through hidden relays and stolen transmissions. Their rulers leaned forward. Their people gathered around screens. This was no myth now. This was happening. The Dreadnought's silence broke. Weapons that had been quiet for centuries came alive. The hull glowed with lines of fire. And the first salvo erupted. A single blast tore through half the Dominion's front line. Entire warships split apart in silence, burning in the void. Artal watched in awe as the Dominion reeled. For the first time, the unstoppable conquerors were stopped. The Dreadnought did not speak, did not explain. It simply acted. And every act was destruction. In the council chamber, a ruler whispered, "We called for salvation, and it came." Another, trembling, whispered back, "Or maybe it came to claim us." The truth was not yet clear. The humans had returned, but their purpose was hidden. Were they saviors or conquerors? The kingdoms of the galaxy held their breath. The Dominion gathered its forces again. The Dreadnought remained silent. In the ruins of Artal's capital, a child looked up at the night sky and asked her mother, "Is that ship a friend or a monster?" The mother could not answer. for no one yet knew. But the galaxy knew one thing. The legend had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Dreadnought floated above the broken skies of Artal like a giant made of iron and shadow. It did not move. It did not speak. It simply hung in orbit, vast and silent. Its shape was terrifying in its simplicity. No decoration, no banners, just a warship designed for one purpose: destruction. The alien kingdoms had seen many fleets, but none like this. The ship was so large it eclipsed the stars. From the surface, the people of Artal stared with wide eyes. Some bowed to it as if it were a god. Others trembled, believing it was a monster. The myths had always spoken of human power, but myths were easy to believe when they were far away. Now the myth stood above them, real, black, and endless. In the chambers of the Dominion fleet, commanders barked orders. They could not allow fear to spread. They told their soldiers it was only one ship, a relic from the past, they said, no matter how large it was. Numbers would crush it. They prepared their assault with confidence. Yet their voices shook across the galaxy. Other kingdoms received the news. Secret relays and hidden sensors transmitted the images of the ship. Rulers who had mocked Artal now sat in silence. Their advisors whispered in fear. Their people gathered around holoscreens to see the black ship that had appeared out of nowhere. The galaxy's legends were alive again. Still, the humans did not send a message. No words of peace, no demands of war. The silence was heavier than thunder. Why had they come? Were they here to save Artal? Or to claim it? No one knew. The Dominion struck first. A fleet of destroyers and cruisers broke formation and moved toward the Dreadnought. Thousands of plasma cannons lit up the void. Missiles streaked like falling stars. The night above Artal became fire. For long moments the Dreadnought did not answer. Its shields absorbed the fury. Explosions rippled across invisible barriers to the people below. It looked as if the Dominion was trying to tear apart the very heavens. Yet the great ship endured, unmoved. Then the silence ended. The Dreadnought's hull glowed with pale blue lines. Its cannons rotated into position with slow, deliberate grace, no rush, no fear, only certainty. One salvo erupted. The blast was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. A wave of light cut through the Dominion fleet. Ships shattered into pieces. Entire formations erased in seconds. What had taken hours of fire from alien fleets? The humans had undone in a single strike. Gasps filled the galaxy. Broadcast carried the image across countless worlds. The people of kingdoms long enslaved to the Dominion cried with joy. The rulers who had hidden behind walls felt a flicker of shame. And the Dominion felt something they had never felt before, doubt, but the Dreadnought did not stop. Its cannons fired again, precise and merciless. Every shot was destruction. Every salvo tore holes in the Dominion's pride. The fleet that had conquered 100 worlds was being broken apart like glass. The commanders of the Dominion shouted in fury. They sent more ships, they launched their heaviest weapons. The void turned into chaos, fire and metal raining in all directions. Still the Dreadnought pushed forward unstoppable. On the surface of Artal, soldiers who had once thought themselves doomed now cheered. Civilians in shelters shouted prayers. Some cried out the word humans as if it were salvation. In one night, despair had turned into fire, and yet fear remained. The Artal Council sat in silence. Watching the battle unfold, one elder spoke softly. If they can destroy the Dominion so easily, what can they do to us? The question hung heavy. Humans had returned, but no one knew their intent. The Dominion was humiliated. Their proud fleet burned in the void. Their warships retreated, limping and broken. For the first time in decades, a world stood free of their banner. And it was not because of any kingdom. It was because of one human ship. But the Dreadnought did not leave. It remained in orbit, silent, vast, watching. The people of Artal celebrated. But unease grew as well. Why had the humans come? Why had they chosen now? And why did they not speak in distant palaces? Alien rulers made their choice. They sent envoys, desperate to contact Earth. They begged for human protection, offering loyalty, riches, and even entire planets. For if the humans could destroy the Dominion, then only the humans could rule. The galaxy was shifting for centuries. The Dominion had been the storm. But now, Earth's Dreadnought had arrived, and the kingdoms of the stars whispered the same words, whispered in fear and in hope. Salvation has come, But in the silence of the Dreadnought, no answer came. No voice of kindness, no promise of mercy, only the shadow of a ship that could break empires. And so the galaxy waited, trembling, wondering, was this the hand of salvation or the fist of a conqueror? The Dominion could not accept defeat. They had ruled through fear for too long. They had broken kingdoms, burned worlds, and silenced every voice that rose against them. To be beaten, even for a moment, was unthinkable. Their leaders raged in their thrones of iron, and their commanders screamed for vengeance. The loss above Artal was not just a battle. It was an insult, and insults demanded blood. Their fleet gathered once more, larger than before. Ships warped in from neighboring systems. Carriers released endless swarms of fighters, and heavy cruisers took position in a wall of steel. From orbit it looked like an ocean of fire. Thousands of Dominion warships, weapons armed, engines glowing. They would drown the lone Dreadnought in numbers. The people of Artal watched with dread. Their shelters shook from the engines of the enemy fleet. Their skies were already scarred, and now the heavens burned again. Hope flickered like a candle in a storm. Was the human ship strong enough to face all this? Or was their brief salvation only a cruel trick of fate? In the council chamber, the rulers debated in fear. Some wanted to send a message to the humans, begging them for protection. Others whispered that it was foolish. What if the humans ignored them? What if they destroyed the Dominion only to claim the kingdom for themselves? Silence followed these words, for no one could deny the thought above. The Dreadnought remained motionless. It did not move, did not broadcast. Its vast hull gleamed like a dark mountain, cold and waiting. The Dominion commanders mistook its stillness for weakness. They laughed. They told their soldiers the humans had no power left. They shouted promises of victory as they charged. The battle began with a roar. Fighters swarmed first, tiny machines darting like insects. They poured their fire against the Dreadnought's shields. Beams of light stabbing into invisible barriers. Behind them came the cruisers, unleashing plasma storms that lit the void in colors of death. The very space above Artal seemed to burn. Yet the Dreadnought held, its shields flared bright, like a sun being born and then settled again, not broken, not even weakened, to the people watching below. It looked as though the humans had built a ship that even the universe itself could not harm. Then at last the Dreadnought moved. Its cannons came alive, great barrels turning with mechanical precision. Glowing with a terrible blue light in one motion, the ship fired. Entire Dominion squadrons vanished in silence. Their explosions were brief sparks against the darkness. Another salvo tore through the cruisers. Breaking them apart like glass, the Dominion pressed harder. They launched waves of missiles, warheads tipped with forbidden tech, weapons stolen from ancient ruins. The Dreadnought's defenses lit up, intercepting some, absorbing others. But a few broke through. The blasts shook the mighty ship. A ripple ran across its shields. The people of Artal gasped for a moment. It looked as if the human warship could be hurt. But then the Dreadnought unleashed something new. From its flanks, swarms of drones poured out. Smaller than fighters, but faster. They cut through the Dominion squadrons like blades through water. Hunting, striking, tearing. The sky became a graveyard of fire. The battle raged, and the galaxy watched. From secret channels, kingdoms tuned in. Their rulers leaned forward, sweating. Their people whispered prayers. Some cheered every Dominion ship that died. Others trembled, wondering when the humans would turn their weapons on them. The Dominion would not retreat, not this time. Their commanders unleashed their flagships. Titans of war bristling with weapons. They surrounded the Dreadnought. Pressing fire from every side, it was a trap. A cage of fire designed to suffocate even the strongest enemy. Inside Artal's shelters, families clung to one another as the skies shook. The roar of weapons echoed through the air. A child asked, "Will they save us again?" Her mother whispered back, "I don't know." For truly no one did, and then the trap broke. The Dreadnought spun with impossible speed for its size. Its cannons fired in every direction, tearing through flagships as if they were paper. Its drones swarmed, tearing holes in formations. In moments, the cage became a slaughter. The Dominion's trap had turned into their grave. The people of Artal erupted in cheers. Their voices filled the shelters, their hope returned. They saw the Dominion crushed and believed salvation had come. But in the council chamber, the rulers were quiet. They watched carefully, noting every detail. Every shot from the Dreadnought was precise. Calculated, merciless, this was not a savior's mercy. This was a predator's hunt. At last, silence returned to the skies. The Dominion fleet was broken again. Debris floated in the void like ashes after a storm. The Dreadnought did not chase, did not speak, it simply stood there. Silent, cold, victorious. The galaxy erupted with whispers. Some kingdoms declared the humans as saviors. Others feared them as conquerors. Envoys prepared fleets to beg Earth for help, while secret spies warned their rulers to prepare for war against humanity. And in the broken throne world of the Dominion, rage burned hotter than ever. They had been humiliated twice, they swore vengeance. They promised to bring their full strength. Their greatest weapons, for the Dominion knew one truth. If they could not crush the humans now, then their reign of fear would end. And so the galaxy waited, balanced between hope and dread. Above Artal, the Dreadnought remained, vast and silent, watching. The people whispered to the stars, asking the same question over and over. Are they here to save us or to rule us? The battle over Artal was over. The sky still glowed with the wreckage of Dominion ships. Fragments of metal burned like falling stars, drifting down through the atmosphere. For the first time in living memory, the Dominion had been stopped. The people of Artal cried tears of joy. Soldiers raised their weapons in salute. Families came out from shelters and cheered into the night. But above them, the Dreadnought remained silent. It did not lower its weapons. It did not send a message. It simply watched, its black hull glinting with faint blue light. To the people, it looked like a guardian. To the rulers of the galaxy, it looked like a conqueror waiting to strike. News traveled faster than light. Every kingdom heard of what had happened. In palaces across the stars, rulers gathered their councils. Some were relieved, others terrified. The Dominion had fallen in battle, but something far more dangerous had taken its place. A single human ship, strong enough to destroy entire fleets. The smaller kingdoms were the first to act. They sent envoys with desperate pleas. Protect us, mighty humans, and we will serve you. Their voices carried through every channel. They offered riches, resources, soldiers, and even their thrones. They believed salvation had come. The larger empires hesitated. Pride burned in their veins. They had fought for centuries to keep their crowns. To kneel to humans would be shameful. Yet their advisors whispered the truth. If they did not kneel, they would be crushed. And so even the mighty kings considered sending tribute, but the humans did not answer. The Dreadnought gave no reply. The silence stretched across days, across weeks. That silence was worse than words, for kingdoms could not plan, could not know what the humans wanted. Fear spread like fire. Among the people, stories grew. Some said the humans had returned to be saviors. Others said they were preparing for conquest. A merchant in one world swore he had seen 3 more dreadnoughts moving through deep space. A soldier in another world claimed humans were already among them, hidden, watching. No one could prove these stories, but no one could deny them either. On Artal, life was both full of hope and shadow. Children played again in the streets, believing the humans would keep them safe. Yet in the council chambers, the rulers debated endlessly. Should they offer full loyalty to Earth? Should they resist? Should they wait? Every path was dangerous, every choice uncertain. The Dominion, broken but not destroyed, watched from afar. Their pride burned hotter than fire. They gathered their warlords. They prepared greater fleets. They swore that the humans would not rule. They would return with weapons that no ship, not even the Dreadnought, could withstand. But the kingdoms did not know this. To them, the question was not when the Dominion would return, but what the humans would do next. A meeting of rulers was called in secret. Leaders of several kingdoms gathered on a hidden moon. They spoke of the humans in hushed voices. One ruler argued that they must all kneel before Earth. Another shouted that they must resist. Another suggested that perhaps the humans would demand nothing. But even as they argued, every one of them knew one thing. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. The people outside these chambers cared less for politics. To them, the humans were already heroes. Songs were sung in marketplaces. Children carved small figures of the Dreadnought. Refugees spoke of the night when salvation came. For the first time in years, hope filled their voices. And yet, in the silence of the stars, the Dreadnought remained still. Its cannons glowed faintly, as if always ready, its shields never lowered. It was a constant reminder that salvation and destruction were separated only by choice. In the Dominion's dark citadels, spies whispered of unrest. Some warlords questioned their strength. Others feared the humans more than their own masters. But the Supreme Dominion ruler made a vow. He would bring a fleet greater than anything the galaxy had ever seen. He would destroy the human ship and show all kingdoms that the Dominion was eternal. On Artal, a child once more asked her mother, "The humans saved us, right? They are our friends, aren't they?" The mother held her close, but gave no answer. For no one knew the truth across the galaxy. Kingdoms prepared. Some forged alliances with one another for the first time in centuries. Others began stockpiling weapons. A few dared to send secret messages to Earth, begging for contact, begging for guidance. Still no reply came. The humans remained silent. The Dreadnought hung in orbit like a shadow of judgment. The galaxy whispered one question in every hall, in every home, in every heart. Are the humans saviors, or are they rulers yet to claim their throne? And above Artal, the silent Dreadnought waited, watching, patient as the stars themselves. The Dominion was humiliated. Twice they had attacked, and twice they had been broken. Their fleets burned, their pride shattered. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. For the first time in living memory, the unstoppable conquerors had been stopped. But humiliation is a dangerous fire. It does not fade, it does not cool. It burns hotter until it explodes. In the great throne world of the Dominion, their Supreme Lord sat in silence. His advisors trembled before him, afraid to speak. The halls were filled with anger. The walls shook with his rage. "The humans," he hissed, "think they can return. They think they can unmake centuries of fear with a single ship. They will learn what it means to face true power." The Dominion began to gather everything it had. Fleets from conquered kingdoms were recalled. Factories worked without rest. Soldiers were bred, trained, armed, from hidden vaults. They drew weapons long forbidden, technology so destructive even their own ancestors had sealed it away. But desperation leaves no room for caution. The Dominion wanted revenge, and revenge demanded everything. Rumors reached the galaxy like storm winds. Traders whispered of new ships being built the size of continents. Refugees spoke of Dominion scientists opening black vaults where ancient engines pulsed with cursed energy. Captains told tales of fleets gathering near the dark sector, where stars burned red. At first, many thought these were just stories. But soon the truth became clear. The Dominion was preparing its greatest counterstrike. On Artal, the Council received word of these movements. Fear returned to their voices. Their brief joy turned cold. One ruler whispered, "If they send their full strength, even the Dreadnought cannot stand alone." The Council debated whether to send another message to the humans, but they hesitated. The Dreadnought had not answered any call. It remained silent, and silence was terrifying. Across the galaxy, kingdoms held secret meetings. Some believed they must unite with Earth. Others feared that giving power to humans would be worse than the Dominion itself. The galaxy was not only afraid of the Dominion now, it was afraid of the humans too. But while the kingdoms whispered, the Dominion acted. From their shipyards emerged a weapon unlike anything seen before. A mothership so massive it dwarfed even the Dreadnought. Its hull bristled with cannons, its core burned with unstable energy. This was no ordinary warship. This was a moving fortress, a city of war. Its name was whispered across the galaxy. The Eclipse. The Dominion wanted the galaxy to see it. They wanted fear to return, and fear did return. Worlds trembled as the Eclipse moved through space. It crushed a rebel fleet with a single strike. It destroyed a moon simply to prove it could. And with every act, the message grew louder. If the humans thought they could stand against the Dominion, they were wrong. The Dreadnought did not move. It stayed above Artal, silent as ever, yet its presence was like a coiled storm. The people of Artal felt both safety and dread. Children played under its shadow, but their parents watched it nervously, wondering if salvation and destruction were the same thing. The Dominion finally sent a message across the stars. It was not to Artal, not to the kingdoms, but to the humans themselves. "Come," the voice of the Supreme Lord roared. "Face us openly. If you claim to be saviors, then fight us in full sight of the galaxy. We will show all who rules these stars." The galaxy held its breath. Would the humans answer? Would the Dreadnought move? Days passed in silence. Then slowly, the great human ship stirred. Its engines came alive, glowing with a pale light. Its course changed. It turned toward the dark sector, toward the waiting eclipse. The news spread faster than fire. Kingdoms stopped their wars to watch. Fleets halted their patrols. Refugees lifted their eyes to the skies. For all knew what was coming. The greatest battle in centuries, perhaps the greatest battle in history. The Dominion's eclipse was already there, waiting, surrounded by an armada, a swarm of ships that filled the void. And yet, even in that ocean of fire, the Dreadnought moved without fear. A single shadow against an endless storm. On Artal, the people cried and prayed. Some begged the humans to win. Others begged the humans not to unleash something worse. On distant worlds, rulers sat on their thrones in silence, knowing that whatever happened next would decide the fate of all kingdoms. The Dreadnought came closer. The eclipse loomed ahead. Its size was monstrous, like a planet built for war. Its cannons glowed, ready to tear stars apart. And for the first time, the galaxy wondered not who would win, but who would survive. For the Dominion had sworn vengeance, and the humans had answered. The skies of the dark sector would soon burn brighter than suns, and when it was done, the galaxy itself might never be the same again. The dark sector had always been feared. Its stars burned red and unstable. Its systems littered with dead worlds. Now it became the stage for a battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. On one side waited the Dominion's eclipse, a warship so vast it seemed like a moving planet. On the other came Earth's Dreadnought, silent, steady, a shadow that carried the weight of legend. The galaxy watched. Every kingdom tuned their hidden relays to the battle zone. In marketplaces, in palaces, in shelters, crowds gathered around screens. Breathing as one, they whispered prayers. Some begged for the humans to win. Others begged for both sides to destroy each other, so no single power could rule. The Dominion did not wait. The eclipse's cannons came alive. Beams of burning plasma stretched across space, ripping through the void with a force that tore asteroids apart. Around it, the Dominion's armada surged forward, fighters and destroyers filling the dark sector with endless fire. The eclipse was not just a ship. It was the heart of a storm. The Dreadnought answered. Its cannons lit the darkness, blue-white lines of fire crossing the stars. One shot, then another, each one tearing Dominion ships apart. Every salvo shook the galaxy. Kingdoms gasped as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. But the eclipse did not fall easily. Its shield shimmered like a living wall. Absorbing the Dreadnought's strikes, it countered with weapons never before seen. Gravity rippers that twisted space itself. Black hole bombs that dragged entire Dominion ships into nothingness just to wound their enemy. The sky burned, and for a moment even the mighty Dreadnought seemed trapped. The Dominion's armada pressed harder, swarming like a tide. They sacrificed hundreds of ships just to pin the human vessel down. Explosions blossomed in every direction. From Artal to distant worlds, people held their breath. Would the humans fall here? Would their legend end in the dark sector then? The Dreadnought revealed its hidden strength from its flanks. Hatches opened, unleashing swarms of human drones, sleek and merciless. They cut through Dominion fighters like blades through silk, moving with perfect precision. Each drone struck like a soldier who had fought 1,000 wars. The Dominion squadrons fell apart. Their formations shattered. Still, the eclipse stood. Its massive cannons unleashed waves of destruction. A single strike hit the Dreadnought's shields, and for the first time cracks appeared. The galaxy gasped. Was the invincible ship truly vulnerable? The people of Artal trembled, hope and fear twisting together. Inside Dominion Command, the Supreme Lord smiled. Break them, he ordered, shatter their myth. And the eclipse unleashed its full power. A beam of pure energy, wide as a city, fired from its core. It struck the Dreadnought with blinding force. Light consumed the dark sector. When it cleared, the Dreadnought drifted. Its shields weakened for a heartbeat. Silence filled the galaxy. Perhaps the humans had been defeated. Perhaps the legend was broken. But then the Dreadnought stirred, its engines flared, its hull glowed with lines of hidden power. A new energy pulsed through the ship. Ancient and unstoppable, the Dreadnought charged, moving with speed no ship its size should have. Its cannons fired in unison, tearing holes through the Eclipse's escorts. Its drones swarmed forward, cutting a path toward the giant ship. For every blow the Dominion landed, the humans answered with greater fury. The battle raged on, stars themselves seemed to tremble. Entire moons shattered from stray fire. The void filled with wreckage, thousands of ships burned. The dark sector became a graveyard of steel and fire. In palaces across the galaxy, rulers sat in silence, sweat on their brows. Some whispered, "If the humans win, nothing will stop them." Others whispered, "If they lose, the Dominion will consume us all." For everyone watching knew the truth. This battle was not only for Artal, it was for the entire galaxy. The Dreadnought reached striking range of the Eclipse. Its cannons focused, firing again and again. The Eclipse's shields rippled, its hull groaned, but it endured. The Dominion's superweapon prepared to fire again, a beam that could cut a planet in half. The Dreadnought had moments to act. The humans revealed their final card. From the heart of the Dreadnought, a weapon awoke. Its glow spread across the ship, lighting it like a star. Energy built until the void itself shook. The galaxy had never seen such power. Not in any war, not in any age. The Dreadnought released its fury. A storm of light engulfed the Eclipse. The Dominion flagship screamed as its shields shattered. Its cannons went silent, its armor cracked. Entire sections of the massive ship exploded outward. The Eclipse, the pride of the Dominion, the weapon meant to end legends, was torn apart piece by piece. The dark sector was silent, except for the drifting wreckage. The Dreadnought remained, battered but unbroken. Its weapons still alive, its shadow still vast. The galaxy erupted, cheers on some worlds, cries of terror on others. The Dominion was broken again, but at a cost. The humans had shown power beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. On Artal, a child looked to the stars and whispered, "The humans cannot be stopped." In a distant palace, a ruler whispered the same words. But with fear instead of hope, the battle was over. But the war for the galaxy's soul had only just begun, for now. The question was no longer whether the humans could save the kingdoms. It was whether anyone could stop them. The wreckage of the Dominion's Eclipse drifted silently through the dark sector. Huge fragments of its shattered hull floated like islands of fire, glowing as they slowly cooled in the cold void. The once proud flagship, built to terrify the galaxy, was nothing more than broken metal scattered among the stars. The Dominion had been defeated, not by fleets of kingdoms, not by alliances, but by a single human dreadnought across the galaxy. Silence followed. It was the kind of silence that comes after a storm, when everyone is too shaken to breathe. In marketplaces, in shelters, in golden palaces, people stared at their screens in awe. Some fell to their knees, whispering prayers of thanks. Others shook with fear, for they realized that no empire, no fleet, no throne could ever stand against such power. On Artal, people celebrated wildly, streets filled with cheers. Soldiers raised their fists to the skies. Crying out for the humans, songs were sung. Stories spread like wildfire. The humans saved us, they said. The humans destroyed the Dominion. Hope returned where despair had once ruled. But in the council chambers of Artal, the rulers did not celebrate. They sat in uneasy silence, watching the image of the Dreadnought hovering above the ruins of battle. One ruler whispered, "If one ship can destroy the Dominion's greatest weapon, what can an entire human fleet do?" Another answered, "Perhaps we are not saved. Perhaps we are conquered already." And yet, no message came. The Dreadnought gave no words of comfort, no promises of peace. It hung in space, silent as always. Its presence was both a blessing and a shadow. Elsewhere, the galaxy erupted in pleas. Kingdoms sent envoys racing toward Earth, begging for protection, promising loyalty, treasure, armies. Even mighty empires, once too proud to kneel, now bent their heads. The galaxy was ready to serve, not because of love, but because of fear. The Dominion, broken but not destroyed, retreated into the depths. Their leaders raged, swearing vengeance. They whispered of building new weapons, darker and more dangerous than even the Eclipse. But for the first time in centuries, their words carried doubt. Their soldiers trembled when they spoke of humans. Their fear was a poison spreading through their empire. The Dreadnought moved slowly through the wreckage. Its drones gathered fragments, scanning, collecting, studying. Some kingdoms wondered if the humans were searching for intelligence. Others feared they were harvesting technology to build something even more terrible. The truth was unknown, and the unknown was terrifying. In the farthest kingdoms, whispers turned into prophecy. Priests declared that the humans had returned as gods, sent to judge the galaxy. Some people lit fires and prayed toward the stars. Others cursed the humans, calling them devils wearing the mask of saviors. Across the stars, the myth of humanity grew larger than ever before. But within that myth lay a single question, a question no one could answer. Why had the humans come back now? The rulers feared the answer. Perhaps Earth had watched from the shadows all along, waiting for the right moment. Perhaps they had let the dominion spread, let kingdoms fall, only to return when the galaxy was weak enough to take. Perhaps salvation had never been the goal, but domination on Artal. A child pointed to the sky where the Dreadnought floated and asked, "Will they stay with us forever?" Her mother looked up, unable to answer, for no one knew what the humans wanted. The Dreadnought powered its engines. The galaxy held its breath, wondering where it would go next. Would it leave and return to the void? Or would it remain, claiming Artal as its own? The answer came slowly as the ship began to move. Its course was not random, it was steady, deliberate. The kingdoms gasped as their sensors tracked it. The Dreadnought was not leaving the galaxy. It was heading deeper into its heart, toward the cluster where the strongest empires ruled. The message was clear without a single word spoken. Humanity was not done. The cheers on Artal faded into silence. Hope turned into unease, even as they celebrated their survival. They realized the truth. If the humans had chosen to destroy the Dominion, then they had also chosen what came next. The galaxy no longer belonged to kings and empires. It belonged to Earth, and so the legend shifted. No longer was it a story of salvation. It was a story of return. The humans had come back not as saviors, but as rulers of destiny. The galaxy trembled. Some waited with open arms, ready to kneel. Others prepared in secret, whispering of resistance. But all knew the truth. The future now belonged to the humans. And above the burning ruins of the Dominion, the Dreadnought moved onward, silent and unstoppable. A shadow of judgment, a promise of power. The galaxy had begged for salvation, and it had come. But salvation and conquest were not so different. The humans had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again.